Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the greatness of Hot Springs Village, Arkansas and the surrounding areas. People, places, experiences. Hot Springs Village is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host Dennis Simpson as we engage in weekly conversations to explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village. The award-winning RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village is the largest real estate office inside the village with over 30 full-time agents and support staff. Visit them to learn more about this beautiful place to solve your real estate needs. Call them today at 1-800-364-9007. Find them online at explorehsv.com. They are RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village at 1-800-364-9007 or online at explorehsv.com. Ike Eisenhower State Farm. Ike and his award-winning team have been serving the insurance needs of folks all around Hot Springs Village since 1998. Ike has qualified for State Farm's President's Club, Chairman's Circle, and Hot Springs Village Insurance Agent of the Year. Call Ike Eisenhower State Farm today at 501-984-4100. That's 501-984-4100. Find them online at ikeeisenhower.net. Call them today for all your insurance needs because, like a good neighbor, Ike Eisenhower State Farm is there. All right, first question. How much does it cost to build into the village? Build in the village. I asked Dennis, I said, okay, I can't even remember all the questions. There's just so many questions, so it's a matter of what do you want first, so...
You got memory term short something. I don't remember it all.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, it's the question we get, and of course, we're going to give the same answer that everybody gives that's got a brain in their head about most everything, and that is it depends. But
it depends.
We constantly get asked, well, how much does it cost to build a house inside the village?
Well, it's funny you should say as much as we can narrow it down, you and I, because we're in possession of some very good facts of late.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, the buy-in fee, there's $1,500 up front for that, or $500 if you buy a lot. But how much does it cost? Well, it's about $5,000 to $6,000 in dues, permits, grinder pumps, all that, unless you buy a bargain lot. At what someone this last week said from the POA said, an unbuildable area, and there's no such thing as an unbuildable area. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. And we had Mr. Deaton on last week, and he said he always got a kick out of it when they said, well, this is an unbuildable area, and he was in Kansas City, and from the front to the back of the yard was like 4 feet. He's like, unbuildable? Let me show you unbuildable,
Mm-hmm.
But all that to say, the POA board has voted.
Who's going to determine that? Because it's already been predetermined that. Well, when we had him on the first time, there was a foreign city, and the houses are all just built like on the side of a cliff.
Yeah. How's that?
Not a matter of whether it can be built. It's just it may not be cost feasible for your budget, but we can build on it. Well, and I think the base. And I'll let you give me your insight on this. The base fee is about $160 a foot building-ish. You're probably not going to get new construction cheaper than that, would you think? Well,
it'd be tough. Depends.
Yeah, it does depend. I mean, like right now, as we're hitting the record button, and we'll be truthful, this is late May. You're seeing it on the market. You're seeing houses on the market. We're roughly 180 to 200 plus
a foot.
Yeah, a foot for new construction. And our friend Rick Marshall, and I tend to agree with Rick, might be a good barometer for new construction. Probably kind of worthless when you're looking at existing homes. homes that have, that have been around a while, that price per square foot thing is kind of a idiotic measurement, but
It's a misnomer.
the industry uses it. And so people pay attention to it. But
Sure.
well, you and I've looked at this because my foray into the village was a lot, and I had every intention of building on
that we sold before the buy-in fee happened, so you didn't have to pay the buy-in fee.
Correct.
Or sold and bought before you did.
Correct. Yeah. And so we avoided that. So if you buy a lot, then you have to pay, what's the buy-in fee for a lot?
Buy-in fee, I want to say it's $750, I think, but I know the buy-in for a home, which you own now, would have been $1,500, which ain't no small potatoes. Now you factor it in the cost of a house, that's one thing, but and I've distracted us here, but the buy-in cost is part of what you would not included in part of what you would have to have the sewer set up and the blah 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 blah. And that's like $6,000 to $8,000 unless you built in an area that didn't yet have utilities and a paved road, because the POA voted this last Wednesday, motion, second, vote, huge change, that they will build for anywhere that you want. They will bring water, power, sewer, lights, everything you need, with one caveat: we're going to bill you for it, which is not what Cooper originally sold. And that Cooper is still the developer, and that's not what the bylaws decree. That's not what the policies and the procedures decree. So my personal opinion that nobody's asking is that it's not. Well,
I'm asking.
It's not allowed. That would not be allowed. I can't sell you a farm and say, by the way, yeah, it doesn't have any water on it. Yeah, we're going to have to charge you for the water for the hundreds of thousands of dollars to get that to you. But by the way, we promised you water, but we're going to have to charge you for the water now.
Yeah, I'm the guy who watches these things. I watch the YouTube videos. If I can, I watch them live. Don't know why, but
let me interrupt just for one sec. They used to be live and public on YouTube.
Yeah.
If any of our listening audience or watching audience wants to, they have to sign in to the Explore the Village site to see them now. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
No, they're not publicly on YouTube anymore, as I've had it explained to me. I had to go and log in.
I usually catch them live, so I guess they're unlisted.
Yeah.
So as a subscriber, through YouTube, they pop up for me.
Right.
So I don't claim, even though our show's on YouTube, I don't claim to be a YouTube expert. We are largely, as a podcast, we're largely audio. We do have video subscribers, and for some reason people enjoy. It's all that screen sharing that you do that drives me crazy as an audio guy, because I'm like, okay, Dennis, I'm in the car, I'm listening, I can't see any of this.
Well, just look at the map, Randy. Look at the map. I can't see the map. I'm driving.
Exactly. So the cost to build is
wildly
increasing.
And typically you could get ground broken, get started, get your permits, have everything, water, tie-offs, connections, typically $6,000 to $8,000. But that presumes that there's water, power, sewer, light running in front of your house. Now, here's my caveat, and Randy, you're going to know this more than anything. It sounds like a good idea. And the board, which made a motion, voted on it, didn't wait a month, didn't anything, just voted straight through it. That sounds like a good idea. It particularly sounds like a good idea whose responsibility it is to pave and run the water and the sewer and the power. Yeah, it sounds like a great idea for them. The problem there is that, okay, I'm going to build a house in the middle of a block that doesn't have any power, and they're going to have to run power from either side of this, and it's going to be 350 feet, which is easy. I mean, it could be a half mile here in the village. Mm-hmm. It could be 2,500 feet, and I'm going to have to pay for 2,500 feet of water, right? Well, the guy on the other side of me, if he builds a lot 3 down, does he have to pay for that extension?
No, because he's going to benefit from what you already paid for.
I think they're going to try and ding you for it. I really do. I'm with you. I think that I would think, well, I've paved the road. I paid to pave the road. Well, what about that guy 5 doors down? And what if he's 10 doors down? There's a period, you know the spot very well. Minorca, roller
Mm-hmm.
coaster hill, right down there by the, yeah.
Yep.
From Minorca back to Cortez, there is a road that parallels that entire section. And that entire road behind there is completely vacant, not paved, not one home, not nothing. Got to easily be 120 home sites there, easily. And then there's a road behind that. I want to say it's Palmer or something like that. But it's a gorgeous area, but it has not a motor car, no
Mm-hmm.
luxuries, not a motor car. Well, if I build in the middle of that, does somebody on the other end, do they have to pay for their, anyway, it opens up as many times when we make a huge change like this in just I think, spur of the moment decision. This opens up a huge Pandora's box
Well, and
as to
whether
who
it's,
pays what.
yeah, and whether it's spur of the moment or not, and I certainly wouldn't be one to ascribe, ill intent or anything. But as a guy that works with city government leaders every single day, they're just the law of unintended consequences is a real conversation that goes on. There are, and I'm dealing with staff, so I'm typically dealing with city managers who would be Kelly Hale.
Yeah,
Right.
but and paid.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. They're all paid. They're not elected, and they don't make these decisions. It's just their job to carry them out. However, what staff does do, what a city manager does, and I presume Kelly is certainly doing it too. Though the first thought that I had when I was watching this is I thought that number one, I get the enforcement of it because we're just not going to do it. We could get into some of the permitting and some of that stuff, which I was shaking my head like, whew. I get it, trying to grow the coffers. I understand it, but no, I'm not real wild. I'm not real wild about the precedent that could set. And I still think it's such a great community, and I think people are very willing to support the community, and people would. Yes, you're going to have people that are going to gripe and moan about everything, and we're certainly not doing that. But we're not sitting here with our head in the sand either.
Yeah, not
I heard
everything
when I heard that about the building and the infrastructure stuff. We've had Ernie on too many times. We've had other people that were involved in the early days, and enough people who have contributed to our show and talked to us about whatever the legal term is for the rules and regulations of things. And I thought, man, I hope somebody has vetted that, because that could easily, I think, be legally challenged. And as now somebody who's not just a property owner, but a homeowner in the village, that worries me a little bit. I worry about the liability of things like that.
Well, let's talk about that just for 1 sec. Let's go down that path. And I don't want to make this the endless session because we haven't done a session in forever. But I'm the president of the Town Homeowners Association.
Mm-hmm.
We have an attorney come to us, just like the POA does, every time there's a new board members are seated, and the attorneys tell you this: you cannot be arbitrary and capricious. I can't treat you as a homeowner differently than I treat anybody else as a homeowner. As president of the Town Homeowners Association, I can't treat any townhome owner differently. Well, Dennis, we want to buy the land out in front of our house between us and the lake. You don't own that land. That's limited common property that all of us own. Yeah, but we just want to buy it this one. I can't do that. I can't even, will not even fathom it.
Right.
And the reason, I may have told this before, but the reason that we can't do that, and what the attorney will tell you, is Jonathan Huber, one of my good friends. His dad is an attorney, also a great attorney in Shreveport. They live in a 300-acre development. And in that 300-acre development, there was no metal fences, no metal buildings, and no hogs. Now, it seems like a low bar, doesn't it, Randy?
Yeah.
I mean,
come on, you got to allow hogs.
Come on. It's a community, right? So
I get the metal fences, but the hogs, come on.
So,
especially if you're an Arkansas person.
Exactly.
You got to allow hogs, man.
Well, I mean, Dallas, it's a little different. You got to have your city go to meeting hogs, you know, and
yeah,
you know,
no
notice how
hogs
we're
in the
not even
city.
mentioning Hoggate here. We're
Yeah.
moving along here, right? But that just makes me squeal, actually. Anyway, but the very first time is that they have a gentleman who puts up a metal fence. POA doesn't say anything, or the HOA doesn't say anything. None of the members say anything. A year later, guy puts up a metal building. Nobody says anything. Literally 6 months later, guy wants to put some hogs in. I'm not exaggerating. True story.
Why wouldn't he?
Everyone loses their minds.
Everything else has been a pass for him. Why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't it be? No. This is a different people doing this.
Oh, it's not the
like
same
one guy builds the
well,
fence and another guy builds
I started to have mad respect for the guy. I thought, well, I like this guy. He's
pretty ballsy.
Yeah,
ballsy.
He's testing the water here. Good for him.
So they go to court. And you know, like you do, right? And the judge sits down and says, okay, well, why didn't you say anything when there was a metal fence? POA doesn't say anything.
Metal fences don't squeal.
Exactly. Or stink. You forgot the stink part. They don't get out and destroy your land, your building either. And then why did you not say anything when there was a metal building? No silence. Mm-hmm. Okay, but now there's hogs and you're losing your mind, right?
Yeah.
Judge brings down the gavel, and this is going to be a shocker to everybody because it was enlightening to me. Judge brings down the gavel and he says, you can have the hogs. They can keep the fence. They can keep the metal building. But you, homeowners association, you no longer exist. You are hereby dissolved. We're done. You have been arbitrary and capricious in multiple occasions. I consider you dissolved.
Yeah, as a property, you know, and a homeowner in the village, that was where my head first went. My head first didn't go to, oh, you kidding me? You know, my head went to, oh, wait a minute.
What are you getting yourself into?
Yeah, I don't know that I want to open the community to that kind of potential litigation. There may not be, you know, we are the positive show. But positive doesn't mean that we've got our head, you know, where or in the sand. And people have, come on, we got some big money tied up in these houses, and that money's getting bigger all the time. I mean, the village is on a good roll. I'm happy about that. I'm happy that I got the deal I got. You know,
while the getting was good.
Yeah, I'm really happy, and I'm really thrilled. And we talk to people. You and I talk to people every week. And even though I haven't been on the show in what feels like forever, I mean, I get emails every week from people, a lot of people from DFW and from other parts of Texas as well as elsewhere. And we still promote the snot out of the place because it still is a place to die for. But I remember John Paul talking about, and I do appreciate this about Kelly and staff of, you know, I can't remember his phrase, but it's paint and something, you know, we're not trying to bring in a lot of new amenities and stuff. Let's take care of what we got. Mm-hmm. And John Paul told us very, very early on in the history of this show, the same kind of thing. You know, we just have got to maintain, we've got to take care of what we've got, and not try to reinvent the place. And I don't disagree with that. And I understand where it's coming from, because every city that I deal with and all those that I don't, everybody's fighting budget stuff. Mm-hmm. Things cost. The cost is continuing to go up. Kelly has talked publicly about just trying to stay up with inflation. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I don't want the law of unintended consequences to come back and to bite us in any way at all. Yeah. That's my big concern.
We had a board member who shall remain nameless. And you know, I don't like cliches because they don't always fit, but when they fit, you know, they fit. We had a lady and Jeff Atkins, buddy of ours, said she was just simply a tax and spend politician. He didn't say Democrat. He didn't say whatever. He just said politician. Yep. Because they're on both sides. You know, tax and spend. Yep. Hey, that's not a problem.
One party does not have exclusive right to it.
No. And in the words of Ronald Reagan, you know, Congress makes drunken sailors, gives them a bad name, which I always thought. Congress gives drunken sailors a bad name, and those of you who go back far enough to know the drunken sailor quote, yeah. Mm-hmm. But that said, Jeff said, well, this is a tax and spend person, and what you make a great point. What I really appreciate about Kelly, we may have to pay higher rates, and there was an immutable there. There was a hard line. Look, we're not going to get past the new sewer treatment plant, the new, let's fill in all the blank. We're not going to get there without more money. I get it. But now on the other side of that, I think he's been a fantastic steward of all the funds that we have. And I mean, things are a lot nicer, frankly, and getting a lot nicer. But there's a line. There's a line that you walk to make sure that you're not arbitrary and capricious. Once again, under no conditions can I treat you different than I treat anybody else, at least with the Town Homeowners Association. And I guarantee you, the nonprofit corporation known as the Hot Springs Village Property Owners Association is exactly that same way too. They cannot treat somebody arbitrary and capricious. I can't get special benefits that you don't get. Just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well, part of me as a new homeowner, mm-hmm. you know, a lot of this to me feels like, which sounds really strange because now the place is 52 years old. Mm-hmm. It feels like growing pains.
Yeah.
And I think it is growing pains because I do think that there's been a bit of a boom in the village. I have seen it in the short 2 years that we've been doing this podcast.
But we had training wheels till 2007. We had Cooper keeping us in line. And
that's right.
I mean, that's fair.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know, the economy and the pandemic and the real estate boom, HSV benefited from that,
and still is,
and is still benefiting from that. And so a lot of this, to me, I could be wrong. It just feels like we're still just kind of trying to figure this out. I respect that. Personally, I kind of wish. Okay, some of these really bigger things, I'm going to assume that lawyers have properly vetted this stuff. So if we work under that assumption, and maybe we shouldn't, but I'm going to, because in just my experience, that's how it works. You know, in traditional city government, which I get that the POA is not, but it still operates very much like city government. Mm-hmm. So Kelly and Ken and all these other folks, these are in the vocabulary of the industry, these are staffers. These are hired people, professional people that do these jobs. They are not policymakers. They don't set the policy. However, they are intended to be stewards in the sense that they know the rules and the regulations, and so they can protect council. Or they could protect the board members and say, mm-hmm. here's our recommendation, and here's why we're making this recommendation. It's been properly vetted. It's why you have city attorneys. Mm-hmm. And so we've studied the rules and the regulations that apply to us and that we have to live by, because, quite frankly, most councils don't know that stuff.
Most councils don't know that stuff.
Staff has to educate them on that, and staff has to protect them and say, wait a minute. I know y'all think this is going to be a grand idea, but you can't do it. And here's why mm-hmm. you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is staff's responsibility. And I'm not making any accusations here that staff isn't doing that. But it's just where my head goes. Number one, I was worried about, okay, what's the risk of this if somebody tests that? Mm-hmm. I had three things. The risk, that's bothersome to me personally. Secondarily, it feels like growing pains. It feels like we're just trying to figure it out. And thirdly, some of these bigger things, let the citizens in on this. Let the citizens weigh on this. Put something on a ballot before the entire community and let folks vote. We did it with the assessment.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did it with the assessment, and people saluted it and said, yes, we want to we want to maintain the village. We're willing to, just don't nickel and dime us to death and make us feel like, got the Gestapo breathing down our neck to do anything on our own property. I get the regulations of everybody wants to have a nice neighborhood. You don't want to have, the pig farmer living next door to you.
You don't want the pig farmer next door. You don't want a bright lemon yellow house that doesn't look well with everybody else's. I get it.
Yeah, I get it. But if I want to do some touch-up painting and I got to go get a permit, are you kidding me? I mean, give me a break.
You forgot landscaping too. You
it's like, I mean,
yeah, well,
it's just, I don't know. That's just not right.
One of the staffers,
I'm going to say it. That's just not right. There's nothing.
It's not. It's not. One of the staffers that I worked with, I asked one time, I said, help me explain to people what we need a permit for. And he said, well, if in doubt, you probably should just call. And I'm like, let me explain how the optics on that are going to look. Okay. If you're wanting a charm offensive, that ain't working.
Well, when you and I talked, that was really the topic of our conversation. By the way, we are not political. This show we don't wax political, but we
try to be common sense.
Yeah, but there are elephants in the room, and it's not lost on us because
we live in the real world.
Well, and now I feel a little more comfortable because I'm inside now. No, as I'm recording this, I'm not. I'm in Texas right now.
No, but you're about to be. I tell you what.
But the bulk of my money is sitting in Hot Springs Village.
And your stuff. And
my stuff and my future. So, yeah, so I've got a vested interest in it. And I feel that way about everybody that I've met in the village. And that doesn't matter even if people are renting in a village or if people are.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, we're voting with our money. We're voting with our money that we love the place and we want to be there. Does everybody agree on everything? No, but I don't know. I mean, there's something that's so anti-American about having to get government approval to
cut a tree.
Yeah,
sorry, couldn't hold it back anymore, Randy.
To repaint my house or
I got it.
And I've been in Texas too long, so there's that. So
yeah.
And that's the reason that the risk thing bothers me a bit, because by and large, we are seeing people come to the village who, for the most part, are very like-minded in the sense of, the whole life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness kind of a thing is universal. I don't care if you're red or blue. That doesn't matter.
You can be purple for all we care.
But I think there's still a big reason why people gravitate there and don't go to Arizona.
Well, let me ask you.
Don't go to Florida. Don't go to the Carolinas.
No. But what is it? Is it just because it's beautiful? Well, the Carolinas are beautiful. It's a combination, I think, of low crime, adult mindset, and I mean that in a good way.
Yep.
And for the most part,
affordable.
Oh, affordable. Yeah, sure. I was going to say low drama. Now, you and I are in the midst of the blender, so we see a lot of the drama. But for the most part, it's pretty drama-free, wouldn't you think?
There's not that much, though. You and I have talked, and you and I had a lengthy conversation before we ever started the podcast, because I tracked it for about a year, and I could count on one hand who the social media ninnies were. And okay, maybe because I've now got more insight, maybe I need both hands, and I might need 1 foot, but it still isn't many.
But you don't need 2 feet. No,
It still isn't many. Rhonda and I were talking the other day. The majority, no. Check that. 100% of the people that we have met and interacted with in the village are just terrific.
Salt of the earth.
Just terrific. I mean, I've not had a bad experience yet. And I know that you can get on Facebook, you could get anywhere else. You could really get on Nextdoor, which I don't, but you could. And you could hear it all. So I don't want to be misunderstood. That is not what we're doing.
No.
But at the same time, it doesn't mean that. Come on, you and I make mistakes on this podcast all the time. So to think that the POA or that anybody on staff, that they are going to be completely 100% error free is just idiotic. They aren't. They're not always going to get it right. I'm not going to castigate them for that. I'm just, on my part, I'm just expressing some concerns. The answer to the question, how much does it cost to build a house? The answer is, well, it's increasing. And part of that is just inflation. And another part of that is these newly implemented, I don't even know
unknowns.
What do they even call these things? I mean, are these regulations?
It was a regulation, but they took an existing regulation that said, a grinder pump is $2,500 or any associated cost to HSV beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, running a water line is $1,500 unless.
Well, and is there a difference? And is there going to be a difference? Like if I'm going to build a house on my own and I'm going to be my own GC, or I'm going to hire a GC, or if I'm going to buy a Renaissance home, and Brandon's going to do, I mean, is there, I don't know the answer. I'm just asking the question. Is that going to be a difference? Because come on, you and I both know, I mean, Brandon, any builder worth their salt, it's built into the price of the house.
Yeah, sure. No, I think as far as I understand, it's just the location, and we're talking about really vacant lots.
I know, but I'm saying in that location, if I am my own builder versus if I've got a builder building it, that builder, I'm assuming that builder's going to have to build in those expenses in the price that they're going to quote me to build the house.
Well, and this is the first time that I've ever not been able to answer something fully on the podcast. I will tell you, I hear rumblings, and it only makes sense that they would work with developers differently than they would individuals. If I'm building one house and Brandon's building another 15, they're probably going to work with me differently. Now, they're still going to have the same cost to expand that, but are they going to divide it by 15 and sock it to him, or are they going to sock it to me? Or I don't know.
My question then, as the president of the THA, and you said what the attorney told you, does that
arbitrary and capricious?
I mean, could that be seen as See, I'm less worried about the practical reality of the dollar amount than the vulnerability to the entire community.
It is
the POA. Yeah. The potential problem, and maybe my fears are, I hope, completely unfounded. I don't know.
Let's go back to it. I am not an attorney. I do not play one on TV. I did not stay at the Holiday Inn Express last night. Let's make this clear.
Me neither.
The bottom line is that when a judge can rule you to be arbitrary and capricious, and I'll be very frank, the discussions that have been coming across my desk today are not about this particular instance. They're about tree cutting, that you have to have a permit if you have a home, and if you don't have a lot, but if it's over a half acre, then you have to have another. There's 3 different levels of capricious. You're treating homeowners completely different based on that criteria.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody that comes in has a transfer fee. Yeah. That transfer fee is supposed to be based on cost.
Thanks for giving me something else to worry about now.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I wasn't even worried about that before.
No, I can give you I can give you about 6 or 7 things that could be seen to be arbitrary and capricious. And when you put them together, in my opinion, it's pretty much inescapable. You might say, okay, well, these 2 aren't arbitrary and capricious, and this one isn't, but out of 6, 3 are, you're still arbitrary and capricious.
Yeah, I just.
And the last thing I want, I don't want the judge bringing down a gravel and going, we dissolve the village. Well, the odds of that are virtually impossible.
And nor do I want the coffers to be plundered because somebody decides to test something.
Exactly and completely. And the bottom line is that it's just what you said. And you and I have conversations, and people know this all the time. You work with city government. Well, a lot of those city governments have, councils or the board, and they are not paid. It's political, but they're not
no.
paid.
No.
Well, we have board members who are not paid. No one is paid. No one is paid.
Only
Joni,
staff is paid.
right, exactly. And in this instance, I know what you're saying in a city government. The staff kind of keeps the board in the corral and goes, whoa, 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 whoa. If you go running off this way, we've tried this before 6 years ago, and we had a problem. Okay?
Well, staff doesn't make policy, but staff absolutely has to guide the council, or in this case, the board, because come on, you can't possibly know all these rules and regulations.
Yeah, sure. And
but the collective staff together, coupled with good legal representation, must and can, and as a result, mitigate the risk and advise the board members or the council. Listen, that may seem like a great idea. Come on, it's law of unintended consequences. That's a big fear that I've got. I get where the heart's at. I get we're trying to come up with some money. We're trying to mitigate the expense of having to do something down some street where there's no houses. I understand all that.
Sure.
I worry about it being tested.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, if we can, have we covered all these? Because I wanted to wrap it up and move to another topic for 30 seconds.
Do it.
While we're recording this, now this is, I don't know what day this is coming out, maybe early June, but Hot Springs Village Inside Out Radio Edition is going to have a special host for the next 4 weeks. And who would that be, Mr. Cantrell?
Well, I don't know when this is coming out. I mean, they could be over by now.
For the last 4 weeks, you may or may not have been listening to Randy Cantrell.
So you're saying that we need to release this really soon, I guess.
No, we don't have to. It's just I'm realizing
we can.
Yeah, we can.
We can do whatever we want to do. It's our show.
Call the shots over here. Yeah,
it's our show.
Yeah, it's our show. We do as we want. Hello, we do as we want.
Yeah.
No, I just want to say
you asked me to fill in. I think initially you asked me to do a couple, and the next thing you know, you like, okay, 2 more. I need to do 4, and I'm like, 4.
So no, and I've heard them. I've heard Randy's shows; they are exceptional. And as I said on the radio show this last Saturday, if you like his shows better than mine, don't tell me.
Yeah, he wants you to keep it to yourself. Yeah, well,
I have a sneaky feeling, and I gotta say, and we'll cover this on other shows, I know, but I gotta say, I am so excited, Randy, and I know y'all are too. I know we've talked about, how you guys have Ring doorbell reminiscences, like, ooh, did you see? Oh, we have a dogwood in the front yard now. We've got. I know you're super excited, and I'm telling you what right now. If you'll notice when you see me in public here in the village, I don't usually have a Hot Springs Village cap on or beanie anymore or any of that. And we may break you from sucking eggs in the next few months, because I promise you, you get out in public too much and people go, hey, you're that guy. You're that.
Well, I'm still going to wear the beanie in the winter. I don't wear hats in the summer. I do wear sunscreen. I guess I could put a
like a temporary tattoo.
Yeah. I could put one.
You won't need it, I promise. After you get here, no.
Couldn't go to church with that though. That'd be.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, you need that. What Diane was getting her. Diane was getting her toes did the other day at Top Nails out just outside. And I'm going to make note, Randy. I want to do this more. I want to throw out names to people because we do that.
Yeah.
Top Nails right behind Advantage Title, which we both love and care for. Right there by Winger's Chicken.
Today.
Yeah. You had a post on that today, right there by Winger's Chicken, which is Mr. Joseph. Yeah, you got a check from those folks today, right?
Oh no, it's all electronic now.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
well, I did get one little check before, but
yeah. You got, let's just put it this way: you got excess surplus. You got surplus funds.
Well, now let's not go that far. I sold my lot, but that's a different show, so we'll do the same.
You sold your lot, and the good news is significantly more than you paid me for it. So I feel good knowing I thought I gave you a good deal. All that said, Top Nails, Vivian, wonderful lady. And I'm sitting in one of these little chairs resting while she's doing hers. And
get the pedicure or anything?
No, the manis are more my style.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But at the very end, there's a lady and she said, oh, she had a shirt that said Yoga Squirrel. Okay. Yoga Squirrel?
Okay.
She said, "Oh, I'm always just kind of around like this, like a squirrel, and I just love yoga, and da 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 da." And I said, "Well, what do you listen to?" She said, "Well, there's this show on sometime." She said, "You sound familiar." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah, we are listened to, Randy, while
So
people do yoga.
you raised your voice about 2 octaves to try to hide.
I don't know what you're
Did you
talking
tell her
about.
that you need a shirt that just says squirrel on it?
No. I need one that says plate spinner. Plate
Yeah.
spinner.
Yeah.
I think that's your phrase for
We
me.
could crowdfund that. I'm pretty sure. we could definitely crowdfund that.
Okay, well, stay tuned on the radio, 92.9, Saturdays and Sundays at 10 a.m. You can listen terrestrially, or, as Mr. Tracy would say, streaming live on KVRE92.9.com.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good. Well, we didn't beat it. We didn't beat it to death, and I still love the place, and it's still to die for. And if you're listening to this and you got plans to come and visit or to move, follow through. Just
don't change them. It's still very worth much worth your while.
Don't change your plan.
No.
It's still a great place. All right, we're gonna catch up on all the goings on, and we got birthday celebration to do. So I've now committed us. I've got to release this before we do the others.
Oh, Jay, you've done it. You've jinxed us.
Yeah.
I will say that we are committed. And what was it? I had a pastor friend of mine who said, if you ever find the perfect organization, church, whatever, don't join it because you will ruin it. So I'm going to the thought that no place is perfect. It never will be. But it's a whole lot closer than most others, if you get my drift, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's America. We still got free speech.
Did you say America?
America. We're still Americans.
Now, last week, the last show I did for a while, I played a song you needed, Randy. It was oh goodness, I'm thinking of the guy, but he said the name of the song was you got a little south on you right there, right there. You got a little south on you, so you may have a little south on you.
I grew up with a little south all over me. So.
In Oklahoma.
Yeah, you can tell by the accent.
Yeah.
We appreciate you listening. We still are going to admonish you to tell a friend about the show. So we'll come back the next time. We'll talk about all the goings on and wish ourselves happy birthday.
And sign up for the newsletter at hsvinsideout.com. We only send how many emails a week, Randy?
One.
Count them. Numero unario.
Yep. Only one.
Thanks for watching and listening to Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a weekly podcast starring Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Visit the website at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com.